beggar girl of the marketplace, a girl so poor she gave away her only meal to a dying dog. But one moment of kindness placed a cursed fortune in her hands. And from that day, every coin she touched brought death, fire, and ruin. Was it punishment or destiny? And could a starving orphan carry gold heavy enough to destroy an entire village? Or save it? In a bustling marketplace filled with the cries of traders and the chatter of villagers, there was one voice that was almost always ignored, the trembling whisper of a little girl. Her name was Zuri. She was no older than 16, thin, barefoot, her dress torn in more places than it was whole. People passed her like she was air. She had no mother, no father, no home, only the hope that someone might toss her a coin or a crust of bread. But even in her hunger, even in her misery, Zuri's heart was different. That morning, as the sun baked the dusty ground, Zuri found a stray dog, ribs showing, panting on the roadside. She had only half a dry piece of bread in her hand, her food for the day. She stared at it, then at the dog, and with trembling hands she placed the bread before the animal. The dog licked her fingers, wagging its tail weakly. A few people stopped. Some whispered, "Foolish girl. She has nothing, yet she feeds a dog." Others shook their heads. Madness. Hunger has clouded her mind, but one pair of eyes did not leave her. From a distance under the shade of a woven umbrella, a dying old millionaire watched her. His body was frail, his breath heavy, his eyes sunken with years of greed and regret. He was being carried on a wooden stretcher by his servants on his way home to die. When he saw Zuri, his chest ached, not from sickness, but from something else, something he had forgotten long ago. Pity. The millionaire called his servants to stop. His voice was a rasp. "Bring the girl to me." Zuri was dragged forward, terrified. She thought she was in trouble for stealing. She dropped to her knees, shaking. But the old man only reached into his robes and pulled out a sealed leather bag, worn but heavy. He pressed it into her hands. "Child," he whispered, voice weak as wind, "this wealth is yours. Spend it well, or be consumed by it." Zuri's wide eyes stared at the bag, then at him. Before she could speak, his head fell back. His servants cried out, "The master! The master is gone!" The old millionaire was dead, and the little beggar girl was left clutching a fortune. That night, Zuri sat alone by the firelight, staring at the bag. Her hands shook as she opened it. Gold coins, jewelry, bundles of cash. More wealth than she had ever seen. More wealth than she could ever dream of. Tears filled her eyes. She laughed, a sound she had not made in months. "At last, I will eat. I will live like a human being," her stomach growled. She ran to the market stalls with a handful of gold. She rushed to a food vendor, shouting with joy, "Food! Give me food! Anything, everything!" The vendor, shocked by her sudden wealth, served her the finest bread, roasted meat, and sweet fruits. For the first time in her life, Zuri ate until her belly was full. But that night, disaster struck. The market burned down in a roaring fire. Stalls collapsed, animals screamed, smoke filled the sky. People wailed, "Everything is gone! Everything is destroyed!" And whispers began to spread. Who bought food before the fire? It was the orphan girl, Zuri. She carried the dead man's money. The next day, Zuri tried again. She went to buy a simple dress from a tailor. The man smiled at the sudden wealth. But before nightfall, his shop was robbed, everything taken. Again, people whispered, "The girl's money is cursed." Zuri trembled, but hunger forced her once more. A few days later, she paid a doctor for medicine, hoping to save her own weak body. But by morning, the doctor was dead. By the third tragedy, the village avoided her. Mothers pulled their children away. Men spat when she passed. "She carries cursed gold. Stay away from her." Even the dead man's spirit follows her now. Zuri staggered to the riverbank, clutching the leather bag to her chest, sobbing. "Why?" she cried. "Why give me money that destroys everything I touch? What curse have you left me, old man?" The night wind carried her cries across the water. And then, a voice answered. From the darkness, a figure appeared. A blind man, his eyes white, leaning on a staff. "Zuri," he whispered. She gasped. "How do you know my name?" The man smiled faintly. "Because the gold you hold knows you, and it knows what you will do with it." The girl froze in fear, clutching the bag tighter. "Who are you?" she whispered. The blind man leaned closer, his voice like a riddle. "I am the one who sees without eyes. And I tell you this, that money is not for you to keep. It is blood money. Spend it for yourself, and it will destroy. Spend it for others, and you will see." Before Zuri could answer, the man melted into the darkness, leaving her alone with the bag that glowed faintly in the moonlight. The night after the blind man's warning, Zuri could not sleep. She sat by the river, clutching the bag, staring at the coins that shimmered faintly in the moonlight. Her heart pounded. Spend it for others, and you will see. But fear battled with hunger. She was still a child, alone in a world that gave her nothing. By dawn, Zuri tried again. She approached a kind family at the edge of the village. "Please, let me stay in your barn. I can pay." The father, desperate for money, accepted her coin. He smiled, saying, "You are safe here, child. Rest tonight." But when darkness fell, tragedy struck again. The barn caught fire, burning to the ground. The family wept. Neighbors whispered louder. "Wherever she spends, disaster follows. She carries cursed gold." The family turned on her, grief in their eyes. "Leave. Never return." Zuri ran, her tears blinding her. Word spread quickly. Now when Zuri walked through the market, traders spat at her feet. Mothers pulled children behind them. "Don't look at her. She is marked. She carries the dead man's curse." A group of boys chased her, throwing stones. "Take your cursed gold away." Zuri stumbled, clutching the leather bag as blood dripped from her forehead. Her cries were drowned by laughter. Days passed. Zuri hid in the forest edge, too afraid to use her money, too hated to find help. Her stomach shrank, her lips cracked. She stared at the bag with trembling hands. "Why?" she cried to the sky. "Why give me gold that kills? Why not just let me die poor? At least then, no one else would suffer." Her sobs echoed through the trees. She opened the bag, staring at the glittering coins, tempted to throw them all into the river. But something stopped her, a sound. From the shadows of the road, a woman staggered forward, thin as a skeleton. Behind her, a child clung weakly to her dress, coughing, his skin pale with fever. The woman's voice cracked. "Please, I beg you. My child is dying." A crumb, a coin, anything. Zuri froze. Her first thought, if I give them money, tragedy will strike them too. But the boy's weak cough pierced her heart. With shaking hands, she pulled a single coin from the bag and placed it in the woman's palm. The woman wept with gratitude. She whispered blessings over Zuri. And then, something strange happened. The boy who moments ago was coughing and weak took a deep breath and smiled. His fever broke. His strength returned before their eyes. The woman gasped, "It's a miracle!" The coin healed him. Zuri stumbled back, clutching the bag. That night she sat by the fire with the bag in her lap. She tested the truth. She thought of buying food for herself. The coins turned dark, almost black. But when she thought of the starving boy, the coins shimmered golden light. Her heart raced. The blind man's words echoed. "Spend it for others, and you will see." Zuri understood. The money was not cursed. It was testing her. But deep down, a shadow of fear remained. If the village learned this truth, would they demand her gold? Would greed swallow them whole? Her answer came sooner than she expected. The next day, whispers spread again. People saw the starving boy running, laughing, alive. How did he heal? His mother says the orphan girl gave her gold. Some praised her. She carries blessing, not curse. Others muttered, "No, she is a witch. She brings both death and life." The debate turned to anger. Men confronted her in the marketplace. "If your gold heals, then heal us all. Heal our fields. Heal our animals. Heal our homes." Zuri trembled. "I cannot. It is not mine. It does not work for selfishness." The men growled. Selfishness? Who are you to decide? And then the village chief's guards stepped forward. The chief of the village, a man of power and pride, had heard enough. He summoned Zuri to his hall. His voice was thunder. Orphan girl, I hear you carry the dead man's gold. I hear you heal and destroy with it. Zuri bowed, clutching the bag. I do not heal. I do not destroy. The gold decides, the chief sneered. Then let it decide for me. You will give me your gold. I will use it to strengthen my rule. With it, I will make this village powerful. His eyes gleamed with greed. If you refuse, child, I will see you buried before dawn. The bag trembled in Zuri's hands. The villagers stood behind the chief, shouting, Give it to him! Free us of this curse. Others whispered, No, she carries blessing. Don't take it away. Zuri's heart pounded. She could not fight. She could not run. And as the guards seized her arms, dragging her toward the chief's throne, one voice rose above the chaos. A whisper from the shadows. The blind man had returned. Remember, Zuri, the gold is not for you. Spend it with love or be destroyed. The drums stopped. The village fell silent. All eyes were on Zuri. She held the bag tightly, her lips trembling. The chief's hand hovered inches from it. Would she surrender the cursed fortune to power, or risk her life to protect its secret? The fire cracked. The crowd held its breath, and Zuri's tears fell onto the bag as she whispered one word. No. Zuri's heart pounded. She clutched the bag tighter. And then, through the noise, the blind man's whisper reached her. Do not fear. The gold is not his. It is not yours. It belongs only to what you give. Zuri lifted her chin, voice shaking. I cannot give it to you, chief. The gold destroys when used for selfishness. If you touch it, your rule will fall. The villagers gasped. The chief's face darkened. He rose, his shadow falling over her. You dare speak against me? Girl, you will learn. Nothing defies my command. He stretched his hand toward the bag. But as his fingers brushed the leather, the coins inside rattled violently. The bag burned hot. The chief yanked his hand back with a cry. His palm was marked with a black scar. Fear spread through the hall. Witchcraft, one man shouted. No, another whispered. The girl speaks truth. In the days that followed, Zuri was kept under guard. But secretly, she tested the gold. When no one was watching, she slipped coins to widows, to children, to the sick. Each time, blessings followed. A blind boy saw light again. A farmer's barren field sprouted green. A dying elder rose to his feet. But whenever she thought of buying food or clothes for herself, the coins turned black, and the air grew heavy with dread. The blind man appeared at night, always whispering the same truth. You see now, child, the gold is not for your belly. It is for your heart. Zuri began to understand. Yet with every blessing she gave, the chief's greed grew hungrier. One evening, the chief stormed into her prison hut, his scarred hand still throbbing. His voice thundered. Enough of your riddles, girl. You will pay me with your cursed gold. With it, I will buy warriors, and I will enslave every weak villager who dares defy me. If I give you the gold, you will destroy us all. The chief sneered. Destroy? Number. Rule. There is no difference, he gripped her chin. Tomorrow, before the whole village, you will hand me your bag, or your body will be left for the vultures that night. Zuri wept. She held the bag close, whispering, Why me? Why test me? I am only a poor girl. I cannot fight him. The blind man appeared once more, his staff tapping softly on the earth. You are wrong, child. You have already fought. You fed the dog when you were starving. You gave bread to a stranger when you had none. You gave the coin that healed the boy. Zuri shook her head. But what if I fail now? The blind man placed his hand on the bag. Then you will not be destroyed. The gold will. But listen to me, Zuri. Tomorrow you must choose. And the choice will not only be yours. It will be for the village, for their souls, for their future. The wind howled as he vanished again into the night. Morning came. The village square filled with people. Drums beat, fires burned. The chief stood tall on his platform, his scarred hand wrapped in cloth. Guards flanked him with spears, and in the center, under the scorching sun, Zuri was dragged forward, the leather bag in her arms. The chief's voice roared, "Today the cursed girl will serve her chief. Today she will hand over the gold that has plagued us, and with it I will build an empire." The villagers shouted, some in fear, some in hunger, some in greed. "Give it to him!" "No, don't!" "She must decide." Zuri's knees shook. The bag seemed heavier than ever. She looked at the people, at the starving mothers, the desperate men, the fearful children. Her heart burned. She whispered, "What is the right choice?" And as the chief stretched out his hand, the blind man's voice echoed faintly in her ears. "Spend it with love, or be destroyed." The drums stopped. The village fell silent. All eyes were on Zuri. She held the bag tightly, her lips trembling. The chief's hand hovered inches from it. Would she surrender the cursed fortune to power, or risk her life to protect its secret? The fire cracked. The crowd held its breath. And Zuri's tears fell onto the bag as she whispered one word: "No." Zuri steps forward. She takes the bag, lifts it high, and with sudden strength throws it into the fire. In that moment, time seemed to stop. The crowd gasped. The chief's smile froze. The fire roared. And then the villagers shielded their eyes. Out of the fire steps the blind man, no longer blind, no longer frail. His eyes shine with wisdom. Blind man says, "You have chosen truth over survival, Zuri. You have given when you had nothing. You have refused the chains of greed. The curse was never on the gold. It was a test of the soul." Gasps spread through the crowd. The chief stumbles backward in fear. "Chief, no, this cannot be." The blind man lifts his hand. The chief falls, stripped of power. The villagers bow in awe. The blind man was the spirit of the dead millionaire, returned to test the heart of the one he chose. In Zuri, the orphan beggar had passed where many would have failed. The villagers surround Zuri, not with stones, but with tears and respect. "Villager woman, she gave it all, not for herself, but for us." Old farmer, "She is richer than the chief ever was. Gold may fill a hand, but kindness fills the world. Wealth without purpose destroys, but when given with love, it saves."